The Slit-Mouthed Woman, Kuchisake-onna. In the stillness of the night, when the moon is hidden behind thick clouds and the wind whispers through the empty streets, a figure appears, a woman, shrouded in a long, flowing coat. Her face is obscured by a surgical mask, the kind one might wear to protect from the cold or sickness. She moves quietly, almost gliding across the pavement, her presence barely noticed by those who pass by. But to those who do, she is unforgettable. Her name is Kuchisake-onna, the Slit-Mouthed Woman. The legend says that long ago, Kuchisake-onna was a beautiful woman, married to a jealous and paranoid man. He was a samurai, proud and powerful, but his mind was darkened by suspicion. Convinced that his wife was unfaithful, he sought to mark her beauty in a way that no other man would desire her. In a fit of rage, he took his blade and slashed her mouth from ear to ear, leaving her with a grotesque, permanent smile. As she bled out, her husband asked, "Who will think you are beautiful now?" Her spirit could not rest. Betrayed and mutilated, she returned to the world of the living, her anger and sorrow binding her to the earthly realm. Now, she wanders the streets, searching for answers to the question that haunts her even in death. When you encounter Kuchisake-onna, she will approach you, her voice soft and almost kind. "Am I beautiful?" she will ask, her eyes wide and imploring. Most people, out of politeness or fear, will answer yes. It is then that she removes her mask, revealing the horrifying slit that stretches across her face, a smile carved by cruelty and madness. She will ask again, "Am I beautiful now?" No matter how you respond, her fate is sealed. If you say yes, she will take her blade and slice your mouth to mirror her own. If you say no, her rage will consume her, and she will kill you where you stand. There is no escape from her wrath, no answer that will satisfy the tortured spirit of the Slit-Mouthed Woman. But some say there is a way to survive an encounter with Kuchisake-onna. If, when she asks her question, you answer ambiguously, "You are average" or "I don't know," she may pause, confused by the response. This hesitation might give you just enough time to escape. Others say that offering her money or candy can distract her, allowing you to flee before she can decide your fate. Yet, these are just rumors, whispers passed down through generations. The truth is that few who encounter Kuchisake-onna live to tell the tale. Her ghostly presence lingers in the shadows, waiting for the next unsuspecting victim to cross her path. As you lay in bed, the story of Kuchisake-onna might linger in your mind, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lurk in the dark corners of the world. You might wonder if, as you walk home late at night, you will hear the soft footsteps of a woman behind you, feel the light touch of her hand on your shoulder, and hear her whisper the fateful question, "Am I beautiful?" And in that moment, as your heart races and fear grips your soul, remember, the answer doesn't matter. For the Slit-Mouthed Woman is relentless, and once she has chosen you, there is no escape. Teke Teke. In the quiet moments between the rumble of passing trains, when the wind dies down and the station falls into eerie silence, a faint sound can sometimes be heard. It's a soft, rhythmic scraping, like something being dragged along the ground. The sound grows louder, echoing off the walls of the empty platform, becoming a chilling reminder that something unnatural is near. That sound is the Teke Teke, the harbinger of a vengeful spirit. The legend of Teke Teke begins with a young woman, beautiful and full of life. She lived in a small town where the train tracks cut through the landscape, a constant reminder of the modern world. One evening, as she crossed the tracks on her way home, a cruel twist of fate changed her life forever. Distracted or perhaps pushed by an unknown force, she fell onto the rails just as a train was approaching. In a horrifying moment, the train sliced her body in half, leaving only her upper torso on the platform, her eyes wide with shock and agony. But death did not bring her peace. The pain and horror of her final moments were too great, binding her spirit to the world in a state of endless torment. Now, she exists as Teke Teke, a vengeful ghost who drags her upper body along the ground, her arms scraping against the surface, creating the dreaded Teke Teke sound that announces her presence. Teke Teke haunts train stations and railway crossings, searching for unsuspecting victims. Her eyes, once filled with life, are now dark with rage and sorrow. She moves with unnatural speed, her torso dragging itself towards her prey with terrifying determination. Those unfortunate enough to encounter Teke Teke have little time to react before she closes in, her ghostly form looming over them. When Teke Teke finds her victim, she exacts her revenge in the most gruesome way. With a sharp, otherworldly blade or sometimes her own claws, she slices her victim in half, mimicking the horrific fate she herself suffered. The person is left to die in agony, their body separated just as hers was, their spirit condemned to share in her eternal suffering. Some say that Teke Teke is especially vengeful towards those who linger too long at train stations after dark, as if the very place of her death fuels her rage. Others claim that she appears to those who have heard her story, as if by speaking her name or remembering her tale, you summon her into existence. There are few defenses against Teke Teke. Some believe that if you are fast enough, you might be able to outrun her, but her speed is almost supernatural, making escape nearly impossible. Another theory suggests that if you can reach a higher ground, like climbing stairs or jumping onto a ledge, she cannot follow, her body unable to lift itself beyond the flat ground. But these are just desperate hopes in the face of a relentless ghost. As you lay in bed, trying to drift off to sleep, you might find your thoughts wandering to the darkened train stations and empty railway crossings. You might wonder if, late at night, when the streets are deserted and the only sound is the distant rumble of a train, you might hear the faint Teke Teke echoing through the night. And if you do, remember to run, because Teke Teke is always searching for her next victim, someone to share in the pain and horror of her tragic end. Her story is a chilling reminder that some spirits never find peace, their anger and sorrow binding them to the world of the living, forever seeking retribution for the wrongs done to them. And if you ever find yourself alone at a train station, listening to the silence, be wary, for Teke Teke might be closer than you think. Onryo, Vengeful Spirits. In the shadowy realm between life and death, where the restless souls of the departed linger, there exist spirits driven by an all-consuming desire for revenge. These spirits are known as Onryo, vengeful beings who return from the afterlife to exact their wrath upon those who wronged them in life. Clad in white burial clothes, with long, disheveled hair that veils their pale faces, Onryo are the embodiment of hatred and sorrow, their presence a harbinger of doom for those unfortunate enough to be the target of their ire. Onryo are often women, their lives cut short by betrayal, cruelty, or murder. Bound by the intense emotions of their final moments, they cannot find peace until their tormentors have suffered the consequences of their actions. Two of the most famous Onryo in Japanese folklore are Oiwa and Okiku, whose tragic tales have been passed down through generations, serving as chilling reminders of the power of vengeance. The Tale of Oiwa. Oiwa was once a beautiful woman, married to a man named Iemen, who she loved deeply. However, Iemen was not the devoted husband she believed him to be. Driven by greed and lust, he conspired with another woman to rid himself of Oiwa. They poisoned her slowly, causing her once lovely face to become disfigured, her skin rotting and her eye drooping hideously. When Oiwa discovered the betrayal, her heart was shattered, and in her final moments, she vowed revenge on her treacherous husband. After her death, Oiwa's spirit returned, fueled by the pain and anger that consumed her in life. She appeared to Iemen, her once beautiful face now a ghastly mask of decay, and haunted him relentlessly. Wherever he turned, Oiwa's disfigured visage would appear, driving him to the brink of madness. In the end, Iemen's life unraveled as he succumbed to the relentless torment of his vengeful wife, proving that the bonds of marriage are not easily broken, even by death. The Tale of Okiku. Okiku was a servant in the household of a powerful samurai named Aoyama. She was kind and loyal, but her beauty caught the eye of her master, who desired her for himself. When Okiku rejected his advances, Aoyama devised a cruel plan to force her submission. He accused her of losing one of 10 valuable plates, a crime punishable by death. Though Okiku counted the plates repeatedly, All 10 were there, but Aoyama insisted one was missing. In despair, Okiku threw herself into a well, preferring death over dishonor. But Okiku's spirit could not rest. Every night, she rose from the well, her ghostly form dripping with water, and began to count the plates aloud, her voice filled with sorrow. 1, 2, 3. She would count, reaching 9 before her voice would rise in a wail of despair. 9, 9, 9. She would never reach 10, for the 10th plate was never missing. Her sorrow turned to rage, and she began to haunt Aoyama, driving him mad with the endless sound of her counting. In the end, Okiku's master met a gruesome fate, her vengeance complete. The nature of Onryo. Onryo are not limited to these tales alone, they are a universal embodiment of vengeful spirits, their presence feared across Japan. What makes Onryo so terrifying is their ability to transcend death itself, returning from the afterlife to right the wrongs done to them. They are relentless, driven by emotions so powerful that they cannot rest until justice, or rather, vengeance, is served. The appearance of an Onryo is often a warning of impending doom. With their long, flowing hair obscuring their face, they are both a haunting and tragic sight. Their eyes, filled with the pain of betrayal, pierce through the darkness, and their movements are eerily silent, almost as if they float just above the ground. They are dressed in white burial robes, a symbol of their death, and the atmosphere around them chills to the bone, as if the very air is tainted by their sorrow. If you find yourself in the presence of an Onryo, there is little hope for escape. Their wrath is unyielding, and no amount of pleading or reasoning can sway them from their purpose. They do not simply seek to kill, they seek to make their victims suffer as they did, drawing out the agony in a slow, torturous fashion. The only way to appease an Onryo is to fulfill their need for vengeance, but even then, their souls may never truly rest. The intensity of their emotions keeps them bound to the mortal world, forever haunted by the memories of their past life. As you lie in bed, the story of the Onryo might creep into your thoughts. You might wonder if there is a wrong you have yet to right, or a pain you have caused that might return to you in the form of a vengeful spirit. The darkness of the night may seem a little deeper, the silence a little more oppressive, as the presence of the Onryo lingers in the shadows, waiting for the moment to strike. For in the world of the living, the dead are never truly gone. They remain with us, driven by emotions that even death cannot erase, and when those emotions are as strong as the desire for revenge, there is no escape from the wrath of an Onryo. Gashadokuro, the giant skeleton. In the stillness of the night, when the world is cloaked in darkness and even the bravest souls hesitate to venture outside, there is a sound that strikes fear into the hearts of those who hear it. It's a low, rumbling noise, like the clattering of bones, echoing through the empty fields and forests. This is the warning sign of the Gashadokuro, a monstrous spirit born from the bones of the dead, a creature that embodies the anguish of those who perished from starvation. The Gashadokuro, or starving skeleton, is a towering figure, its skeletal form looming high above the trees, its empty eye sockets glowing with a malevolent light. These creatures are not ordinary ghosts, they are born from the collective suffering of countless souls who died in agony, their bodies left to rot without proper burial rites. Over time, their bones fused together, driven by the intense hunger and rage that marked their final moments. This unholy fusion gives rise to the Gashadokuro, a spirit driven by an insatiable thirst for vengeance and flesh. Legends tell of these colossal skeletons wandering the countryside, searching for their next victim. They move silently despite their immense size, their skeletal feet barely touching the ground. Unwary travelers, who might be taking a shortcut through a forest or a desolate field, are often caught unaware. The Gashadokuro sneaks up on them, and before they can react, the giant skeleton reaches down with its bony hands, plucking the unfortunate soul from the earth and biting off their head in a single, horrifying motion. The origins of the Gashadokuro are as tragic as they are terrifying. During times of war, famine, or plague, when the land is ravaged and the people are left to suffer, many die without food, their bodies piling up in the streets or fields. These neglected bones, left without proper rites or respect, become the building blocks of the Gashadokuro. The pain and despair of these souls fuel the spirit's existence, driving it to exact revenge on the living for the suffering it endured in life. But the Gashadokuro does not simply kill its victims. It feasts on their flesh, attempting to sate the eternal hunger that gnaws at its hollow insides. Yet no matter how many it devours, the Gashadokuro's hunger is never satisfied, for it is born of starvation, a condition that death could not end. The creature's thirst for blood is relentless, and it will continue to hunt as long as it exists. There are few ways to protect oneself from the Gashadokuro. Some say that carrying a charm or talisman can ward off the creature, but such protections are flimsy at best. Others believe that if you can hear the ringing of bells, it is a sign that a Gashadokuro is nearby, giving you a chance to flee before it attacks. But once the giant skeleton has chosen its prey, escape is nearly impossible. The only way to truly stop a Gashadokuro is to lay the spirits that form it to rest. This can be done by performing proper burial rites for the bones that make up its body, honoring the dead, and acknowledging the suffering they endured. However, finding these bones and performing the rituals is a daunting task, especially when the Gashadokuro is actively hunting. As the night deepens and you drift off to sleep, the tale of the Gashadokuro might linger in your mind. You might imagine the sound of bones clattering in the distance, or feel the chill of its hollow gaze upon you. And though you tell yourself it's just a story, the fear remains. What if the Gashadokuro is real, and it's out there, waiting for the next traveler to cross its path? For in the quietest hours of the night, when hunger and despair are at their strongest, the Gashadokuro rises, a terrifying reminder that the dead are not always at peace, and that some hungers can never be sated. Jikininki, human-eating ghosts. In the depths of the night, when the world is silent and the living are asleep, there are creatures that roam the darkness, driven by an insatiable hunger. These creatures are not beasts or animals, they are the cursed spirits of the dead, known as Jikininki, or human-eating ghosts. Born from the souls of greedy and selfish individuals, Jikininki are condemned to an existence of eternal hunger and despair, forever scouring the earth in search of corpses to devour. The story of the Jikininki is one of profound tragedy. In life, these individuals were consumed by greed, caring only for their own wealth and desires, with no regard for the suffering of others. They hoarded their riches, indulged in excess, and turned away from those in need. When death finally claimed them, they expected to take their wealth with them to the afterlife. Instead, they were met with a horrific fate, cursed to roam the earth as Jikininki, grotesque spirits doomed to feed on the very thing they once despised, the dead. Jikininki are hideous to behold. Their ghostly forms are emaciated, their skin stretched thin over bones, their eyes sunken and hollow, filled with a desperate hunger that can never be satisfied. Their mouths are wide, with jagged teeth that tear through flesh with ease, and their long, clawed fingers are perfect for ripping apart the bodies they find. But despite their terrifying appearance, Jikininki are not malevolent by nature. They are pitiable beings, cursed to suffer for their greed and selfishness in life. These spirits are drawn to the dead, wandering through cemeteries, battlefields, and places where the bodies of the deceased lie unburied. The moment they sense the presence of a corpse, they are overcome by an uncontrollable urge to consume it. They fall upon the body, tearing into the flesh, devouring it in a frenzy. But no matter how much they eat, their hunger remains, gnawing at them like a never-ending curse. After they have fed, they are left in a state of deep despair, horrified by their own action, yet unable to stop themselves when the hunger returns. The existence of a Jikininki is one of eternal torment. They are fully aware of their condition, and the horror of what they have become weighs heavily on their souls. They long for release, for the peace that comes with death, but such peace is denied to them. Instead, they are forced to live in the shadows, isolated from the world, cursed to repeat their gruesome acts night after night. The only thing they fear is the light of day, which reveals their monstrous form to the living, and so they hide during the day, emerging only when darkness falls. Legends tell of encounters with Jikininki, often involving travelers who stumble upon them in the dead of night. These unfortunate souls are met with the terrifying sight of a Jikininki feasting on a corpse, its eyes burning with hunger. In some cases, the Jikininki may turn on the living, attacking them in a desperate attempt to satisfy its insatiable hunger. However, it is said that those who show compassion and understanding toward these cursed spirits can sometimes help them find peace, freeing them from their torment. But such encounters are rare, and most who come across a Jikininki do not live to tell the tale. The horror of their condition is too great, their need too overpowering. For them, there is no redemption, only the endless cycle of hunger and despair. As you listen to the tale of the Jikininki, you might find yourself wondering about the fate that awaits us after death. Is there a price to be paid for the greed and selfishness we show in life? The Jikininki serve as a chilling reminder that some sins carry consequences far beyond the grave, and that the ghosts of our past may come back to haunt us in ways we can never imagine. So as the night deepens and you close your eyes, beware of the shadows that lurk in the darkness. For somewhere out there, a Jikininki is wandering, driven by a hunger that knows no end, searching for its next meal. And if you're not careful, you might find yourself the target of its eternal, insatiable appetite. Yurei, the Restless Spirits. In the quiet of the night, when the world is shrouded in darkness and the air is thick with the weight of the unseen, there are spirits that wander, bound to the earth by the pain and sorrow of their past lives. These spirits are known as Yurei, the restless souls of the dead who cannot find peace. Unlike ordinary ghosts, Yurei are driven by intense emotions, unfulfilled love, bitter betrayal, or the sting of an untimely death. These powerful feelings tether them to the world of the living, where they linger, haunting the places and people connected to their suffering. Yurei are unmistakable in their appearance. They are often depicted as women, though men can also become Yurei, dressed in long, white funerary robes, the traditional garb worn in Japanese burial rites. Their skin is pale, almost translucent, and their eyes are empty, reflecting the hollow despair that consumes them. One of the most haunting features of a Yurei is their hair, long, black, and disheveled. It falls over their faces, obscuring their features and adding to their eerie presence. Their hands dangle limply at their sides, fingers often twisted into unnatural shapes, as if reaching out for something, or someone, they've lost. The origins of a Yurei are always rooted in tragedy. They are souls who met a violent or sudden death, their lives cut short before they could resolve their deepest desires or confront the injustices done to them. A woman abandoned by her lover, a warrior betrayed by his comrades, a child who died before their time, these are the people who become Yurei, unable to move on because of the powerful emotions that bind them to the living world. One of the most famous stories of Yurei is that of Oiwa, the tragic heroine from the kabuki play Yotsuya Kaidan. Oiwa was a beautiful woman who was cruelly betrayed by her husband, Iemen, who poisoned her to pursue another woman. The poison disfigured Oiwa, and in her agony and despair, she died, swearing vengeance. Her spirit returned as a Yurei, her once beautiful face twisted into a ghastly mask, her long hair hanging in clumps over her ruined features. Oiwa haunted her unfaithful husband, driving him mad with guilt and terror until he met his own gruesome end. Another well-known Yurei is Okiku, the spirit of a servant girl from the story of Bancho Saraashiki. Okiku was falsely accused of losing a precious plate belonging to her master, who in a fit of rage, threw her down a well. Her spirit emerged from the well every night, counting the plates and wailing when she reached the 10th, which was never found. Her ghost tormented her master until he could bear it no longer, and in some versions of the tale, he went mad or was driven to his death. Yurei are not bound by the rules of the living. They can pass through walls, appear and disappear at will, and are often accompanied by the scent of lotus flowers or the sound of footsteps in the dark. They are relentless in their pursuit of those who wronged them, and their presence brings misfortune, illness, and death. However, not all Yurei seek vengeance. Some are lost souls, searching for the love they left behind or for the resolution of unfinished business. They may appear to the living in dreams, pleading for help to find peace. To exorcise a Yurei, one must address the root of their suffering. This can involve performing proper burial rites, offering prayers, or in some cases, confronting the person or situation that caused their pain. Only by acknowledging their grief and helping them find closure can a Yurei be released from their earthly bonds and allowed to move on to the afterlife. As you lay in bed, the story of the Yurei might linger in your thoughts. You might imagine the rustle of a white robe in the dark, or the soft whisper of a lost soul seeking comfort. And though you know it's just a story, the fear remains. What if the Yurei are real, and they're out there, waiting for someone to help them find peace? For in the stillness of the night, when the boundary between the living and the dead grows thin, the Yurei roam, their sorrow echoing through the darkness, a reminder that some spirits cannot rest until their pain is acknowledged and their stories are told. Hitobashira, the human pillars. In ancient Japan, when the world was still shrouded in mystery and superstition, there was a practice so dark that it would make the bravest tremble. This was the practice of Hitobashira, or human pillars, a ritual sacrifice in which individuals were buried alive at the base of important structures to appease the gods and ensure the stability of the construction. This ghastly tradition was believed to prevent the collapse of bridges, dams, and other significant edifices, ensuring that they would stand firm for generations. But the price of such stability was steep, and the spirits of those sacrificed would haunt the structures, bringing misfortune to anyone who disturbed them. The origins of Hitobashira are steeped in ancient folklore. According to legend, when a structure was deemed vital to the community, the builders would seek the favor of the gods to ensure its success. They believed that the gods required a powerful offering to protect the structure from natural disasters and structural failure. This offering was not gold or treasure but a human life, specifically, a living person who would be interred within the foundation of the building. The chosen individual, often a criminal, prisoner, or even a volunteer, was buried alive in a pit beneath the structure, their screams muffled by the earth and stone. The practice was both a grim necessity and a sacred duty. To the ancient builders, the sacrifice was a solemn ritual, intended to secure the favor of the gods and ensure the safety of the people who would use the structure. However, to the unfortunate individuals chosen for this fate, it was a terrifying and inhumane end. Once the ritual was complete and the structure was built, the restless spirits of the sacrificed individuals were said to remain bound to the site. These spirits were often depicted as tormented and vengeful, their souls trapped between life and death, unable to find peace due to the brutal manner of their demise. As the years passed, the haunted structures became known for strange occurrences and misfortunes. Workers who disturbed the sites might experience accidents, unexplained illnesses, or even death, as if the angry spirits were exacting their revenge for the pain and suffering they endured. One famous example of Hitobashira is the legend of the Koya-no-kure, a bridge that was said to have been built with a human pillar. According to the tale, the bridge was constructed in a remote area, and the workers who toiled on it reported eerie sounds and unsettling sensations. The bridge stood firm for many years, but those who crossed it claimed to hear whispers of agony and saw fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures. Eventually, the bridge was abandoned, and it was said that the spirit of the sacrificed person haunted the site, bringing misfortune to anyone who ventured near. Another well-known story involves the construction of a dam in a mountainous region. The local legend tells of a young woman who was sacrificed to ensure the dam's stability. Her spirit, unable to rest, would appear to the dam's engineers, causing them to make mistakes and suffer accidents. The dam, despite its intended purpose, was plagued by frequent problems, and the local people believed that the young woman's vengeful spirit was responsible for the misfortune. As with many ghost stories, the tales of Hitobashira serve as a haunting reminder of the price of human sacrifice and the restless souls that linger in the shadows. The spirits of those sacrificed in this ancient practice are said to remain bound to the structures they were forced to help build, their pain and suffering echoing through the ages. As you listen to the story of Hitobashira, you might find yourself reflecting on the dark side of human history and the lengths to which people once went to appease the gods. The eerie tales of haunted structures and vengeful spirits serve as a chilling reminder that some sacrifices come at a terrible cost, and that the echoes of ancient rituals can still be heard in the shadows of the modern world. So, as you drift off to sleep, imagine the solemn and unsettling presence of those restless spirits, their cries for release mingling with the creaks and groans of the structures they haunt. The weight of their suffering remains, a dark testament to the sacrifices made in the name of stability and faith. Manto, the Red Cloak. In the dimly lit corners of public restrooms, where shadows linger and the air is thick with the unsettling silence of solitude, there exists a malevolent spirit known as Manto, or Red Cloak. This vengeful ghost haunts the last stall of restrooms, preying on unsuspecting individuals who enter, offering them a chilling choice that leads to a gruesome fate. Manto's legend serves as a haunting reminder of the dangers that lurk in the most mundane places and the terrifying consequences of a seemingly simple decision. The tale of Manto begins with a tragic and violent past. According to various versions of the legend, Manto was once a man who met a grisly end. Some say he was a student who was murdered in a restroom, while others believe he was a man who was wronged and cursed by an angry spirit. In death, his spirit became a vengeful entity, bound to haunt the last stall of public restrooms, where he could inflict his wrath on those who crossed his path. The encounter with Manto begins innocuously. Visitors to a restroom, especially one that is old or rarely used, may find themselves alone and at ease. However, as they prepare to leave, Manto's presence makes itself known. The ghostly spirit, draped in a red cloak, will suddenly appear or make his presence felt, often through a chilling voice that echoes through the restroom's tiles. Manto will then pose a seemingly innocent question: do you want a red cloak or a blue cloak? The choice between red and blue is not a simple one. Both options lead to horrific outcomes, but each represents a different form of death. If the visitor chooses the red cloak, Manto's vengeance is swift and brutal. The victim is violently attacked, often slashed repeatedly until their body is covered in blood. This gruesome death is symbolized by the red cloak, a macabre nod to the blood that stains their final moments. The once unassuming restroom becomes a scene of horror, a place where the color red is forever associated with the spirit's wrath. Choosing the blue cloak is no less fatal, but it leads to a different kind of horror. Those who opt for the blue cloak face a slow and agonizing death. Manto's spirit will strangle or drain the victim's blood, leaving their body blue and lifeless. The blue cloak, in this case, represents the lifeless pallor of the victim's skin, a stark contrast to the vibrant bloodshed of the red cloak. There are variations to the legend, with some versions adding additional choices or elements to the story. In some tales, Manto might offer other colors, like green, with different horrific outcomes. However, the red and blue options remain the most iconic and terrifying aspects of the legend. The essence of Manto's curse lies in the unavoidable nature of his wrath. No matter the choice, the visitor is doomed to a tragic end. Manto's legend serves as a chilling reminder of the dangers that can lurk in the most unexpected places. Public restrooms, often thought of as mundane and safe, become the setting for a horrifying encounter with the spirit of Manto. His story has become a cautionary tale, warning people to avoid the last stall and to be wary of seemingly innocent questions that may hide a deadly trap. As you listen to the tale of Manto, the story of the red and blue cloaks might linger in your mind, casting a shadow over the otherwise ordinary places you encounter. The ghostly presence of Manto reminds us that even in the most mundane of settings, there can be a lurking horror that waits for its chance to strike. So as you prepare to sleep, imagine the cold, eerie silence of a restroom in the dead of night, and the haunting voice of Manto asking for your choice. The knowledge that such a malevolent spirit might be waiting in the shadows can send a shiver down your spine, making you think twice about the last stall and the sinister choices it holds. Yuki-onna, the Snow Woman. In the heart of a relentless snowstorm, where the world is blanketed in white and the cold is so biting it feels as if it could freeze time itself, there lurks a spectral figure known as Yuki-onna, or Snow Woman. This beautiful yet deadly spirit embodies the harsh and unforgiving nature of winter, preying on travelers who find themselves lost in her icy domain. Her chilling presence is both mesmerizing and terrifying, a haunting reminder of the treacherous beauty of snow and ice. The legend of Yuki-onna is steeped in ancient Japanese folklore, where she is depicted as a strikingly beautiful woman with a ghostly, ethereal appearance. Her skin is as white as snow, and her hair is long, dark, and flowing, contrasting starkly with her pale complexion. Dressed in a flowing white kimono that blends seamlessly with the snow, Yuki-onna appears like a vision of winter's purity and cruelty. Her beauty is captivating, but her intentions are far from benign. Yuki-onna's origin varies across different stories, but many versions of the legend suggest she is a spirit of the snow who was wronged or who suffered a tragic fate. Some tales say she is the vengeful spirit of a woman who died in the cold, while others describe her as a supernatural being born from the snow itself. Regardless of her origins, her presence is always associated with the cold and the snowstorm. The most common encounter with Yuki-onna occurs during severe snowstorms. She appears to travelers who are lost or struggling to find their way through the blizzard. Her initial approach is often deceptively gentle. She might appear as a beautiful woman standing alone in the snow, seemingly in need of help. In some tales, she lures her victims with her hauntingly lovely appearance and a soft, almost ethereal voice. She may ask for assistance or offer to guide them through the storm, drawing them closer with the promise of warmth and safety. However, as the traveler draws nearer, the true nature of Yuki-onna reveals itself. Her touch is icy cold, and her breath can freeze the air around her. She has the ability to exhale a chilling frost that can instantly freeze her victims, turning them into statues of ice. This deadly breath, combined with her supernatural strength, makes her a formidable and deadly foe. Her victims are often found frozen to death, their bodies encased in ice, a grim testament to the Snow Woman's power. Despite her cold and merciless nature, Yuki-onna is not always without compassion. In some versions of the legend, she may spare those who show kindness or who offer her warmth. If a traveler is kind-hearted or gives her a token of warmth, such as a piece of clothing or a warm embrace, Yuki-onna may show mercy and guide them safely through the storm. However, such mercy is rare and should not be relied upon, for the Snow Woman's nature remains fundamentally cold and unpredictable. Yuki-onna also has a dual nature in some stories. While she is often portrayed as a solitary spirit, there are tales where she takes on a more tragic or sympathetic role. In these versions, she might appear to those who are suffering from loss or who are in despair, reflecting her own sorrow and loneliness. Yet even in these tales, her actions are driven by the cold, and her presence is a reminder of the harshness of nature. The legend of Yuki-onna serves as both a warning and a reflection of the dangers that lie in the cold, unforgiving winter. Her story captures the allure and the terror of snow, embodying the beautiful yet deadly aspects of nature's wintry wrath. As you listen to the tale of Yuki-onna, the image of the Snow Woman, beautiful yet lethal, might linger in your mind, a chilling reminder of the dangers that can lie hidden beneath the pristine surface of a snow-covered landscape. So, as you prepare for sleep, imagine the soft, haunting sound of falling snow and the spectral figure of Yuki-onna emerging from the storm. The knowledge that such a deadly spirit might be waiting in the cold can send a shiver down your spine, reminding you of the delicate balance between beauty and danger that exists in the world of the supernatural. The tale of the Ushi-oni, the ox demon. In the shadowy realms of Japanese folklore, where fearsome creatures roam and ancient legends come to life, one tale stands out for its sheer terror and malevolence, the story of the Ushi-oni, or ox demon. These monstrous beings are known for their terrifying appearance and their capacity to bring calamity and fear to those who encounter them. With bodies that combine the traits of spiders or oxen and the heads of demons, Ushi-oni are formidable and nearly invincible creatures that haunt the darkest corners of the countryside. The legend of Ushi-oni varies across regions, but their core characteristics remain consistent. They are dreadfully powerful, malevolent entities that strike terror into the hearts of those who cross their path. Descriptions of Ushi-oni typically depict them as having the body of a large spider or ox, giving them an imposing and grotesque appearance. Their heads, however, are those of fearsome demons, often with sharp, menacing features, fangs, and glowing eyes that seem to pierce through the darkness. One of the most famous tales of the Ushi-oni recounts an encounter in a remote village plagued by mysterious disappearances and misfortune. The villagers, desperate to find the source of their suffering, discovered that their woes were being caused by a malevolent Ushi-oni that dwelled in the nearby mountains. This creature would descend upon the village under the cover of night, attacking and carrying off villagers, leaving behind destruction and despair. The Ushi-oni was known for its immense strength and near invulnerability. It could tear through walls with ease and had an almost supernatural ability to avoid harm. The demon's primary weapon was its powerful limbs, which could crush and ensnare its victims with deadly efficiency. The Ushi-oni's venomous bite and the ability to spit a corrosive substance made it even more dangerous, as it could kill its prey swiftly and painfully. One particularly harrowing tale describes a young warrior named Takeshi, who took it upon himself to confront the Ushi-oni and end the terror it inflicted on his village. Armed with only a sword and his courage, Takeshi ventured into the dark, foreboding forest where the Ushi-oni was said to reside. The journey was fraught with danger, and the warrior had to navigate treacherous terrain and endure the haunting cries of the demon echoing through the trees. After hours of searching, Takeshi finally encountered the Ushi-oni in its lair, a cavernous cave with walls coated in blood and debris. The Ushi-oni emerged from the shadows, its grotesque form illuminated by the flickering light of Takeshi's torch. The battle that ensued was fierce and brutal. The warrior fought valiantly, striking at the Ushi-oni's monstrous limbs and dodging its deadly attacks. However, the Ushi-oni's resilience and strength were nearly overwhelming, and it seemed as if Takeshi's efforts were in vain. In a moment of desperation, Takeshi remembered an old legend that spoke of a weakness in the Ushi-oni's armor. Its heart was said to be vulnerable when exposed. Using his agility and strategic prowess, Takeshi managed to outmaneuver the demon and strike a critical blow to its exposed heart. The Ushi-oni let out a deafening roar of pain and rage before collapsing in a heap. With its demise, the village was finally freed from its reign of terror. The tale of Ushi-oni serves as both a chilling reminder of the supernatural forces that lurk in the darkness and a testament to the bravery of those who stand against such malevolent entities. The story captures the essence of ancient Japanese horror, blending the grotesque with the heroic in a narrative that is both terrifying and inspiring. As you listen to the tale of Ushi-oni, imagine the terrifying creature with its monstrous form and demonic head, lurking in the shadows and bringing fear to those who encounter it. The story of Takeshi and his battle against the ox demon is a haunting reminder of the ancient fears that once haunted the land, and the enduring courage required to confront such dark and powerful forces. So, as you prepare for sleep, envision the eerie silence of the dark forest and the fearsome roar of the Ushi-oni. Let the tale of the ox demon linger in your mind, a chilling reminder of the ancient legends and the supernatural horrors that lie hidden in the darkest corners of the world.